Mina Mohammed Alim Sise, CEO of Alim Electronics Worldview.
When you approach me initially with the idea, it's such a laudable idea to showcase young entrepreneurs doing
My name is Daimba. I'm also known as Cherry Mango, and welcome to Connecting the Dots, or also known as House of Connecting the Dots. Bring American style and Sierra Leone African culture style to you. We have a wonderful barber here.
Musa F2, the manager for Where I Do to Sing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited to finally bring you the very first episode of the Emprise, the show we've all been waiting for. I must firstly apologize, however, for the very long delay, but I assure you that after meeting our esteemed guest, every other issue will be made up for. And before you get to meet him, before he gets to say a word or two, I will take you through a snippet of his bio, which I assure you is very, very impressive. He's an entrepreneur, first of all. He's a photographer, he's a visual artist, he's a public speaker, he's a writer, and he's a thinker. He holds a BSc Honors in Public Health from the University of Makeni, and he is the Chief Executive Officer of the finest studios within Makeni and Sierra Leone by extension, I believe, which is a Focus Studio. I'm sure by now you've all known him. He's the founder and chief executive officer of Focus Studios, a media company specialized in photography, cinematography, branding, consultancy, and it's based in Makeni. Daimba has been running Focus Studio for the past 5 years and has, through his exceptional leadership, transformed it from being a photo studio to a media company. Daimba is passionate about creativity, he's passionate about creative skills monitoring, and he's a youth. And again, I repeat, he is an entrepreneur. Please, wherever you are, put your hands together and welcome my boss, my big brother, the Honorable. So please, wherever you are, help me welcome my boss, the big brother, Mr. Daimba Augustine Kamara. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, John.
It's really nice. Your bio is very impressive. Fortunately, he doesn't even have to use it to get a job anymore. So how are you feeling, sir?
Well, I feel honored.
Okay.
I feel really, really honored to be part of this, this episode. When you approach me initially with the idea, it's such a laudable idea to showcase young entrepreneurs doing great things, and also to serve as an inspiration
Definitely.
to other young people around.
Definitely.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. So, for someone who has never met you, I know a lot of people want to meet you. Don't ask me how I know, I just know. A lot of people want to meet you. So, how would you describe yourself personality-wise?
I'm a very driven, disciplined, and a risk-taker entrepreneur.
I can tell.
Yes. Over the past years, based on various business operations I've run, I've come to know that you have to be focused and you have to be dedicated to one purpose. Okay. Because it's essential as young people. Sometimes we have a lot of ideas, right? Obviously. We want to do this, we want to do that.
Sure. But
particularly for me, I settled, like I found my niche. So when I identified, because initially at the start I was a graphic designer.
Okay.
Right, I was making flyers, logos. Yeah. Then I noticed that doing too much cannot account for excellence. Right? Sometimes you just have to narrow it down. So to answer your question, I'm a very driven, disciplined, determined person.
Okay. I believe if you are watching, you should be taking notes by now. The first lesson learned, you have to at least narrow to something that you believe. So let's talk about your passion around photography, basically. How did it all started?
I love photography.
Okay.
Like I love it. It's more than a career for me. It's something etched within my soul. For me personally, it's about the moment. Photography for me is not just about snapping or just clicking the button. It's about taking somebody's moment, right? Whether it's a celebration, an event, and turning it into a lasting memory. for me, it's everything, because that particular moment, we live in moments in this life. Time gone, it's never time retrieved.
Never.
So when that time is gone, it can never be retrieved again. So that moment when you freeze it with a camera and you capture it and you store it and it turns into a memory, 5 years down the line, and then you look at it, it's just fresh. It just expresses the same thing that you're feeling at that time when you took the photo.
That's deep. That's deep.
I don't know if you ever remembered when you took a photo during your Thanksgiving during primary school.
Obviously.
When you glanced at it, how did you feel?
It's a wonderful feeling.
And so,
it brings the smile and all those other
and
things.
so particularly that's for me with photography. Photography for me is that moment, right? And photography exposes me to so much more.
Okay.
Like I've gone to places that I, in my wildest imagination, would never have thought of. Right? I've met people, I've interacted, different cultures, man, and it's just wonderful.
I can tell.
And meeting people, you know, telling their stories, documenting their moments, for me, that's the essential part. And that's what keeps me loving this art of photography.
That's nice. So let's visit your childhood very quickly. Let's talk about when Daimba wasn't, you know, all grown up, all, you know, knowing what he wants. Let's talk about your childhood and let's say your community and the family you were surrounded around.
Okay. I'll tell you a true story. I grew up in Mountain Court.
Okay.
Spent a bulk of my childhood there. Spent about 11 years at Mountain Court. But, you know, the benefit, like I was telling you, sometimes you have to really decide what you want. It's decision that defines destiny.
Okay.
So I was surrounded in an environment where there were cliques, where there were idlers, where people normally would just go to their tabbies, right, and just want to just spend time, where boys would be chasing women and all of that. So I grew up in that setting, right? But there's something as well with the environment. The environment can either break you or either make you as well.
Very true.
So I was
Very true.
inspired, you know, growing up on Mountain Court. I saw, you know, young people, so much potential, you know, it was wasting. And so at that moment, I decided that I'm not going to be one of this, because even when you look at the, you know, the elderly around, you know, our big brothers in the community back then in Mountain Court, there's nothing good to write home about, because they're the same people who sit at the same attire basis, you know, the poets and all of that.
The circle continues.
Exactly.
With the young.
And so I decided, man, this is life. And life can only be lived once.
Indeed.
You don't have to waste it. You rather invest in it, and then it gives you dividends. So I had to retrieve myself. You know, at some point when I was growing up, I was a bit rascal.
Really?
I was a bit rascal. I love PlayStation. I love PlayStation, and I love, you know, a lot of these other things. I love, you know, games. I was a bit rascal, but then I decided that, you know, life is short, and life can be more meaningful. So I retrieved myself from the street, and to this day, even in my community, people are shocked how certain vices in the community are never involved in it. You know, man, it just boils down. It's not because someone is exceptional. It just boils down to decision. Decision defines destiny. And so from there, we moved. Again, another lesson to learn is sometimes a change of environment can bring the necessary progress you need in your life.
Okay.
So we changed the environment. We moved from Mountain Court, we went to Godrich.
Okay.
And that was life transforming, because you see, the thing about an environment, it has an immense pressure on you, right? Sometimes
it influences.
Yes, it draws you back.
True.
Even when you try to do some things, it draws you back.
True.
And it's almost like that same culture in the environment, like you are forced to just adopt to it. So sometimes you just step out of your environment. When you just move out of it, sometimes it can just blow your mind about the experiences that is waiting for you.
Exactly.
It's almost like you just, in a particular place, you might think you're the smartest person.
Exactly.
Not knowing that
Very
you're the
true.
smartest person in the dumbest village. So unless you step out, that's when you're going to know there are more smarter people. You know, there are more opportunities. You know, there are more things waiting out there for you.
And that spoils you at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It spoils you.
And so Mountain Court actually shaped me, you know, wise with decision making and also rejecting certain things. things. But moving out of Mountain Court as well, going to Godrich, we stay at Ogu Farm.
Okay.
You know, and that was so transformational because the environment there was cool, was serene, was calm. You know, it just teaches you to just appreciate what's happening and not be worried about the externals, because there at Mountain Court you're worried about the externals. You want to prove a point.
Obviously.
You have to live up to standards and all that thing. But there it's just too calm and comfortable.
So what was the home like?
Well, I have.
You were. It seems like you grew up in a small family.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I can say a nuclear extended family.
Okay.
Because I have two brothers.
Okay.
And a sister.
Oh.
But I have cousins. I have also a lot of other family members.
You're the eldest, or?
I'm the last.
The last.
The last of the boys.
Okay.
Actually.
I'm sure mom is proud.
I'm the penultimate child. My sister is the last.
Okay. Okay.
So it's sort of like a very small family.
Okay.
It's not too, but because of our culture, we usually have a lot of people around, family
coming over
members and all of that. So it's a nuclear extended thing.
I see. So what are some of the things you say, like some things you pin that this certainly is because of like the family I grew up in? You know, there are certain traits when you grow up, let's say being religious, for example, most times it comes from the family you're from. So what are these certain things that you just pin that this is certainly because of my family? If not for them, like, no way.
3 things I can pinpoint. 1 is God.
Okay.
Like, my family loved God. They introduced me to God. They introduced me to Christ. And that for me has been very transformational. Even living in Mountain Court, the thing that kept me was, going to church.
Right. We're on the same boat anyways.
Yeah, finding extra things to do, because you rather spend some time on something profitable, because you won't be distracted later on.
True.
So God is priority. God is king in everything I do.
Okay.
He's the plug. Secondly, my family taught me about independence. Right, that's sometimes you don't have to wait for people to do things for you. Right. I was raised up that way, not to have certain expectations from people.
Wow.
I was raised, if you want something, go out and get it.
You have to hustle.
Yes, you have to go out and get it. So it's funny, even if I tell you right now, I sold gari, I sold biscuits.
Surely?
Yes, I did. So sometimes you go out all the way and try to get what you want. So that's an invaluable lesson. My mother taught me back then.
Okay.
Third thing is hard work. All right. My mother told me, I can clearly remember, said that hard work will always beat a lazy talent. No matter how talented you are, no matter how brilliant you are,
The work.
if you are lazy, it's still not going to give you the returns. It's still not going to give you the progress that you want. So she taught me that, man, you have to work hard. You have to really, really push yourself. You have to be driven. If you want something, go out for it. And that for me has been my mainstay. Sometimes when, it's not really easy. Sometimes you want to relax. Sometimes the pressure and all that thing, you want to but then you just remember that you might be talented, man. But hard work, actually brings you the necessary resources for progress.
That makes perfect sense. Obviously. I'm learning so much. I hope you are as well. And quickly, let's talk about your senior year. Let's say secondary school, for example. Senior secondary school. What was it like for you?
Okay, I went to the Sierra Leone Grammar School. Life for the Sierra Leone Grammar School was really, really, really thrilling, to say. I mean, it opened my mind, because again about environment. I attended Albert Academy, junior secondary school.
Okay.
Sat to my back here and then went to Sierra Leone Grammar School. There it's a different ball game. See, the thing about an environment, sometimes the environment motivates you to become better. And that's the thing about Sierra Leone Grammar School as well. When I was at Sierra Leone Grammar School, the environment provided there inspired me, to study, to go the extra. There's a certain level of, intelligence tension around.
Okay.
That even if you're stupid, it's going to really draw you in to be smart.
The competition.
Yes, it's just that tension around, man. It's just that tension. It's always tingling around. Right? It just forces you, right, to be there. and to just work on yourself no matter who you are. And so that for me at grammar school was really very, very thrilling for me. And also back at grammar school, I was actively involved in scripture union. That for me, sharpened my public speaking skills, because I had a lot of opportunities to preach, to teach, even at devotion. Sometimes we give you an opportunity to preach before Mr. Lashite.
I guess that's what brought the debating and public speaking.
We'll come to that, because I think I never, even back then at Sterling Grammar School, I was not active in the debating society. I wasn't. I was just a passive member. I would attend their meetings, and we have, the tough guys then. I would just sit back and just watch how things goes. I was just trying to just learn one or two things, but I was not really active there. What I was really passionate about is teaching. Right? Like, I will understand something, and I'll try to break it down to make it very simpler. So even when I preach the word of God, I try to make it very, very simple, very, very digestible and understandable.
Okay, so as we round up your schooling years, let's talk about college. I'm sure a lot of young people watching are interested about it. You have a BSc honors in public health.
Yes.
And you're a photographer, an entrepreneur. Okay, anyways, let's start with the whole college life.
Coming to college for me, all right. Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
I hope you don't tell anybody. I sat to my WAS very early. I sat to the private WAS, and I got my requirement. But
smart guy.
But at that time, I really wanted to enter into the medical school, College of Medicine. But the admission process was very, very rigorous. So it was very stressful. I didn't get in. Tried several attempts, but I didn't get in. So I waited for like 2 years, and nothing was forthcoming.
Wow.
So just a day came. When I tell you that decision defines destiny, a day just came, and I just decided, I know, man, got so much in me. I will not, use this time to go to waste. So luckily, there was an opportunity, and I came down to Makeni, and I applied. In fact, I was very late, but then because of how my result was, I got accepted, I got admitted.
Okay.
And so starting at University of Makeni was like a fresh beginning for me in my academic career, because having been frustrated through the rigors of getting into med school and getting this fresh, because I wanted to study something related to health.
Okay.
I was passionate about it. When growing up, I imagined myself being a doctor. I'll treat my friends and stick some needles and stuff. This broomstick, not needles.
Obviously.
So I was really passionate about health.
You were passionate.
Yes, and to this day, I'm actually passionate about it.
Okay.
It's just that life, sometimes you don't have to be caged. It's good to have options.
Okay.
Right. This is something I tell a lot of people. Right. You have to develop employable skills. Right. Because the way our school system is set up, our engineering in school, technically, they teach you to move out of the school to wait for a job.
Obviously.
There was a gap. I remember, I think to this day, I use this, this story to tell in some of my pitches, my earlier pitches. One time, I went for my matriculation at university.
Okay.
Yes. So I was there at the matric, and a photographer took a picture of me. Guy, I know I'm not ugly, but when I saw the picture later, I was terrified. Like,
imagine your matriculation.
Yes, my matric. A photo I will use to show to my kids that I was there.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
It's a moment, and that moment will never be returned.
Exactly.
And at that time, I just noticed, an idea just struck to me. It's like, there will be several of these programs, and this same guy will keep messing up people's memories. What are you doing about that? And so I just sat down.
Savior.
And then I thought about it. This is an opportunity. Because back then, there was nothing like, professional photography.
Exactly.
There was nothing. So there were a lot of opportunities. There was debates, seminars, right? There were other other different activities as well. So I just said to myself, sat down and said, this is a huge opportunity. Why not follow this passion? And let's see what happens.
Okay.
Here's the thing I will tell you as well. Sometimes a lot of people think you need money to start.
Obviously.
It's a huge debate. Yes, you at some point you need money. But what you need more is the requisite, resources. Like when I started, I was borrowing camera. Yes, when I started I was borrowing camera. That's just to tell you that no matter what you're doing, you just have to get started.
Okay.
If I would have just waited and say, okay, I need to have this perfect camera, I need to have a high-end professional camera, I need to have lights before starting the thing, I'll never be where I am right now.
I agree.
Because it's actually a journey. We need to understand that it's a journey. And sometimes we keep comparing ourselves, a phase in our life, with someone else's journey. And that affects us. Right? Because somebody might be in their own journey and they could afford certain things, and you at that point can't. So the best you can do at that point is just to start with what you have.
Okay.
So I started renting camera. Even the guy did not know how to use the camera.
So he just had it.
Yes, he just had it, and funny it was they had it in a particular organization or somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So we were lending it. So we lended the camera, we were using it to take pictures of people, and then the thing went viral.
Wow.
For the first time in Makeni, there was a photo shoot. To this day,
So all you had was the camera, no lights, no nothing.
Nothing. We had God's light, natural light.
And that was sufficient.
That was enough. That was enough. That was enough. In fact, even when I compare, I still have some of those pictures. Even when I compare our old pictures and now, it's just ridiculous, man. That's just to tell you that.
So you're still impressed by those old photos.
Wow. I can't say I'm impressed. I'm just excited about the growth and all of it, because when you look at it, you say like, what was I thinking? Like, I even if I were to go back, I will not make that same mistake as well.
Okay.
So, but the thing is just to get started. So I started borrowing camera, and at some point we had some few issues, but then it was resolved later. I had a lot of failed partnerships and all of that. But that's just to tell you that you have to keep going. You have to keep going, and when you have a vision, you have to protect it. You have to be driven by it, because sometimes as well, when you have an idea, not everybody will understand it.
Obviously.
Initially when I was telling back at when I was at Unimark, when I was telling my uncle to buy for me a camera, I was like, "Are you serious? This photographer. Study.
Photographer.
Why are you worried about this?" And so in my mind, I just like saying to myself, "You don't even understand what's going to happen. Like the next big thing. The next big thing."
Uncle, now you see.
The next big thing. And so to this day, even his kids now will still come to me to take pictures. That's the funny thing. Alright. So again, the lessons: when you have an idea, when you have a vision, protect it. Go all the way out, to ensure that you protect, the integrity of it. Right? Because in the long run, it's your idea, it's your vision, and something that's going to keep you relevant.
Obviously.
In years to come.
I can say your business is grounded right now, very grounded. We've moved from the first shop, now we're having two, and that's let me applaud that.
We just thank God. It's just a series of little progresses.
Okay, so let's talk about the big, when the business started going big. We talked about the come up. When did it really become something that it is what it is right now?
Yes, I think the big leagues started when we moved to Plaza. God used a very, very, very energetic man, very instrumental.
Okay.
He brought me to Plaza, and we worked for a while, and that for me, that working period also gave me a lot of lessons.
Okay.
Right, and that brought a lot of traction as well. So when we're situated in the place, but that's the thing again about business. Business has to have a structure, because some people will come to do business with you.
Okay.
And they want to have that level of trust, knowing that you're not going to run away with their money.
Obviously.
So having an office space, we entered into the big leagues. When we started, we had only speed lights. and one light. That's the funny thing.
That's interesting. Some people might not know what a speed light is, but it's anyway.
Okay.
You can explain it better.
A speed light is just like a common flash that you use on top of a camera to illuminate, you know,
exactly
wherever you're shooting. So at that time, we only had one strobe, like a big, huge light, and a little one. Light. But again, the thing about, you know, sometimes there'll be inadequacy.
True.
Right? There'll be
True.
inadequacy with regards to equipment, resources. But what you can never trade is skills. What you can never trade is knowledge.
True.
So what I did, because we had limited, you know, amount of equipment, I had to invest my time in knowing how to use it. I had to invest my time in knowing how to understand light, visualize light, interpret light, capture light, how to shape, modify light in various ways. And by that, the two lights were having, well, not so good, but, you know, manageable.
Okay.
You know, compared to, because since the idea was very new, compared even to some other studios in Freetown, we were doing better at that time.
Okay.
So we started and business was growing. We had some few hiccups, you know, normally in business.
Obviously.
These are the unspoken parts, right? Sometimes
Obviously.
in a business, you know, you have a lot of, you know, hiccups and
fallouts and all.
And people will not understand that. So we had a lot of hiccups and then a new beginning occurred again. Then I started having, you know, more pressure. Some clients were coming. But to this day, what I owe it to the business growth is human resource.
Okay.
Valuable connection and relationship I had. You know, sincerely, I first of all, I'm forever grateful to the person we partnered first and we came into Plaza. I'm forever grateful for that.
Okay.
You know, the person was so instrumental. So instrumental. In fact, the amount of, you know, traction and the amount of advertisement that went out, the person was very instrumental. Secondly, you know, God just connected me with someone who was so popular. In fact, we met by happenstance. We met, she called, she wanted to do a shoot. I was in Freetown doing a wedding. And then she wanted to do a shoot because she was told, right, that we were here.
Okay.
I wasn't around, but she waited. And then when we met, we took the photo. It's even on our Facebook page. You go and see it. The photo had, man, I will not talk about it. You go and see it.
If you're not following them, by the way, you can get them on Facebook. Focus Studios.
You go and see it.
I've actually been following for a while.
You go and take a look at the photo. But then that photo went viral, man. Like, it went viral. Like,
okay.
In this little place called Makeni, there's never been something like this. And that person had a lot of following social media. So she was sort of like a social media influencer.
Okay.
So a single post reached 500, 600 reactions or likes.
And people started knowing the name.
Yeah, the noticeable. They started even calling her to tell me that they wanted to come. They started booking to her to come.
Okay. So they'll pass through her.
Exactly. And so that for me, again, in business, try to keep relationships. Relationships are very valuable because you don't know who is going to give you your next breakthrough.
And also the output.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know your work ethic has to be grounded, but then you need people. No matter how smart, talented you think you are, even business savvy, if you don't have the right people, the right recommendations, right, business is going to fail eventually.
Sure.
So you gotta have to maintain friendships, relationships, even your network. They usually say that network is your net worth. Right?
Okay.
The amount of people you have in your circle will determine the amount of tractions or income you're going to receive eventually.
That's true.
Because they're really supportive people. They're really people, they cannot give you the cash, but they can plug you, they can connect you with the requisite, you know, places you need to go.
Okay. So now I'm curious about the name, Focus. You started talking about, you know, being focused when we started initially. So I want to guess, well, you can tell the story better. So how did it all come about, Focus? Because it's actually very catchy.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And that's the plan. The one thing you need to take a very, you know, a well-lookable photo, a photo that someone will see and appreciate. What is that one thing?
I'll say focus.
It's focus. Because if the picture is blurry,
okay,
it can be appreciated. The beauty
True.
can be appreciated.
True.
But if the picture is stark sharp and it's in focus, you can see vividly the details and everything.
Okay.
And again, that's just one part of it, because I got the name initially from the camera,
Okay.
right? Because then I was looking, when I sat down, I was thinking about, certain features of the camera. So I was looking at, there was already a studio in Freetown named Zoom.
Okay.
Right. I was looking also at some other name. I didn't want lens because it's too general.
Yeah.
Right? It was just too general. So I thought of, focus. Is that thing that separates you.
Exactly.
It's that thing that makes things sharper and clearer to you. And so even when you want to take a picture to this day, you have to focus
Obviously.
first
Obviously.
before taking the picture.
Obviously.
So that's how the name came about, me holding the camera and thinking about that, and that thing just dropped. And to this day, it has been my mantra that, to achieve great things in life, you have to focus.
Okay.
You have to really, really, truly have laser sharp focus. You have to be intentional about what you want. Forget about every other thing. Let every other thing blur into oblivion.
Okay.
Just if this is what you want, then go for it. Just single-handedly concentrate on it until you achieve it.
Okay. So what's your overview on your line of business, photography, basically? What do you think about the whole industry as of now? Because now it's spreading. A lot of people are coming in. So what's your overview on it?
Man, first of all, I'm so excited. There's never been a time where we're having the level of attention we're having.
Okay.
The industry is growing. And for me, I'm not particularly concerned about the amount of studios. It's important for the industry to grow. Right? Because if you don't have a lot of, pepper seller in a market, you will not know the differences.
True.
Right? So the industry is growing. And for me as well, it's an opportunity for young people to learn skills. The employment rate has increased. There are studios in Freetown that employ over 8-10 staff, and they are all young people. So that's a source. Our industry alone is contributing significantly to employment, significantly to also economic upliftment as well.
True.
And so the photography industry for me is really, really growing. And I envision it to be something bigger, something really massive. Because now we're seeing a lot of professional photographers. I still to this day have photographers in Freetown, right, in Sierra Leone in general, who inspire me.
Okay.
Who I just look at their work and say, man, this is dope. Who I would recommend at any time will do proper representation of us, the industry in general,
Okay.
around the world. And so to this day, I just think photography is, I can't say it's relatively new, but the industry is really booming. And it's growing to that point where, it can really, really, really change the lives of youth, and it can also empower. So I think a lot of people should also be looking at it and be thinking about how they can also, even for some photo studios who want to start, maybe they can make it tax-free.
Okay. That would be nice.
And some other provisions, some government provisions as well. Maybe you can give a loan, right?
Sure.
At 0% interest or very minimal interest. So a lot of people can also improve their livelihood and also can also get started as well.
Okay. Speaking about the employment photography is creating, what's your relationship with your workers? Because I've been here a time or two, and it's always fun. You're always talking, So what's your own, let's say, mode of running things around your office with the people working for you?
For me, in my business, I'm actually a leader. I'm not a boss.
Okay.
So a leader inspires people to take action. A leader inspires and facilitates decision making. So I'm not a boss. I'm not bossy. I don't sit around.
Okay.
I'm also actively engaged in the work. I'm actively taking pictures. I'm actively
I think the first time I came for the meeting, you were actually on the ground taking a photo.
Exactly. Exactly.
I remember.
So I think it's also part of leadership, right?
Okay.
Leadership is you have to situate yourself around the problem, or you have to situate yourself around the heat of the situation. Right? It's very important if people see you taking photos, especially your staff, they'll be inspired.
True.
That you're not that kind of lazy guy, the lazy boss
True.
who just wants to just relax at the office. But rather, you are always there, giving extra time. And they see how serious you take your business. You also inspire them to take business seriously as well.
Okay. So what will you pin your success to? One or two things that you pin the success of Focus right now to?
Pin it to God. God has been faithful. And I can also pin it, to having the right team, the right people, and also the right timing because introducing even the growth phase that we're going through, it's because of the timing. There have been, low seasons, there have been high seasons, but it's because of the timing, right?
Okay.
It's also because of God's grace and His favor.
So the moral lessons have been learned, I'm sure. Let's talk income, let's talk finance, let's talk the money. The money. So, of course, whoever thinks of, going into business, that's the primary aim.
Yes.
Giving out service and also expecting income.
Yes.
So give us, let's say, an overview of, what's, the thing that's coming in from Focus.
Well, I'll have to ask my accountant. Sincerely, I'll have to ask.
We've grown. There's an accountant.
I have to ask my accountant.
Wow.
I have to ask my accountant. But yeah, it's appreciable.
Okay.
It's appreciable
Okay.
because even the level of growth that we're experiencing, we wouldn't be able to achieve it. Because even in a line of business, we've not taken a loan. We have not taken a loan to invest in the business.
Wow.
The business has been self-sustaining. Now, whatever we raise, right, we use it back and invest into the business to get equipment, to get space, to pay salaries and other things. So the business has been self-sustaining to a large extent.
Okay. That's actually very nice. So, where do we stop? What are some highlights for you, basically? Since you started, what are some of the things like you can't really forget? Like this is huge for me since you started your line of work.
I can't forget the person that first brought me to Plaza.
Okay.
I can't forget the first person that made us go viral.
Okay.
I can't forget, the first huge wedding I had. You paid me a huge sum of money for.
Okay.
First wedding. And man, that was exceptional. And I can't forget on a daily basis, the little things. Sitting back and looking at how the business operates. Because even if I'm not here, the business will still run.
Yeah.
That for me, being able to set up at least that basic structure, for me, gives me peace of mind. Because I learned from Vusi, the South African entrepreneur, that if you can't leave your business for 90 days, you're not an entrepreneur, you're self-employed. So unless you're able to leave your business for 90 days with a structure, set up, and people are able, the staff or the workers that you have are able to accurately represent the business, then you're just self-employed.
Okay. So for anyone thinking of joining your line of business, what would you say are some of the qualities they must possess?
Patience. You need patience because it's not going to happen overnight. I think a lot of people think, right, that when you have a camera, people start paying you millions. It doesn't happen. First of all, how business works is trust.
Should be giving me free photos first, and then I'll pay you later.
Yeah. I mean, I did, to this day, we did a lot of free gigs.
True.
Like a lot. Like even the university that we're in, we did a lot of things for them for free.
Okay.
Right, we didn't request it because we knew we were just starting.
Okay.
So even if you have invested a lot, right, you can't just realize all of that. It's a journey again, like I said. It's a journey. It's not a destination. You don't invest 10 million and expect to make 10 million in the next 1 month. It doesn't happen like that.
Okay.
Especially if you're thinking about the sustainability of the business. So it takes patience. I think that's something a lot of young people lack. They just want quick, instant gratification. I want to have this now. It doesn't happen like that. And so I think that's very, very, very important.
Okay. So as we round up, take us through some of your plans for your business or even personally, as a lot of people look up to you right now. So what are some of your plans for your business and for yourself in years to come?
Yeah, in years to come, we are already slowly emerging as a media company. We're not just a photo studio, so even in a new space that we'll be moving into in a couple of weeks from now, we're going to have a lot of facilities. It's like a one-stop shop.
Okay.
You enter in and you have every of your needs addressed.
Wow.
So even if you want a photo, even if you want to do a video,
Okay.
we have the facilities. If you want to do a live streaming sessions, we have the facility ready for you to use.
It's nice.
So we're planning, to change the game. We're planning to really add a lot of more, other services that will just help people, being able to tell their stories out.
Lastly, as we're almost done, what would be your summarized message to the young ones watching, because this show is purposely for them? What would be your message?
If you have an idea, if you have a dream, don't give up on it. Start where you are with what you have. Incrementally, slowly, with patience, with dedication, right, with discipline, you can get to where you want. Sometimes you might not have it all together. Nobody does. Even up to now, I don't have it all together. But what you have is more powerful. What you need is in your hands. The skills that you have are profitable. And so if you can just get started, you make a lot of failure, right? But these are lessons as well. So start, make the mistakes. And that's the benefit of starting early. When you start early, you make the mistakes and you're able to correct it. So you start, you make the mistakes, you correct them, and you learn, you become a better person. And then exercise patience. It's not going to happen overnight. Right? Focus was not built in a day.
True.
It's a journey, we're still getting there. And so exactly with you as well, if you have that idea, whatever business idea you have right now in your head that's bubbling, and you just want to implement it, it's going to take time. So give it time, but also make sure that you're linked up with the right people. People is everything. People are the multiplier. People can multiply your happiness, or they can actually multiply your misery as well. So get the right team, right? Get the right partnerships, get the right relationships, and work with the right people to actually actualize your dream. That's awesome.
That's awesome. I'm blessed, I've learned, and this is certainly an opportunity. So one of my highlights, of course, will be, hosting the CEO of the finest photo shoot studios in town, in Sierra Leone, period. Thank you very much for coming on board. We really do appreciate. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, you've been watching on Global Multimedia Online TV, the biggest online TV in Makeni, the Northern region. And stay tuned, ensure you subscribe, ensure you like the video, so a lot of people will be able to also come and see and learn from this video as well. I have been your host, John Imbadi Bangura, and it is a pleasure. Stay tuned as we have so many more things coming your way. Upstairs.
Mina Mohammed Alim Sise, CEO of Alim Electronics Worldview.
When you approach me initially with the idea, there's such a lot of light there to showcase young entrepreneurs doing things.
My name is Zainab. I'm also known as Cherry Mango, and welcome to Connecting the Dots, or also known as House of Connecting the Dots. Bring American style and Sierra Leone African culture style to you. We have a wonderful barber here.
Musa M2. I'm the manager for Where I Beauty Salon.